In my last vSeeBox video, we took a look at the V6 Plus. In this video, we're going to pull over the vSeeBox V6 Max and we're going to unbox this baby, take a look at it, see what's inside, and see what the difference is between the V6 Max and the V6 Plus. If you've not watched the V6 Plus video, you should go back and do that first and then come back and take a look at the vSeeBox V6 Max with me. All right, let's take a look around the V6 Max box. This one is pretty Spartan, folks. You get a little line art drawing on the back, VC, we enjoy together, but there's really nothing here because this is a slipcover. We pull this off, then we get some more information. So let's go ahead and take a look around the box. Here we go. That's what we're more familiar with. So here's the vSeeBox Smart Media Player V6 Max, 4 gigabytes of RAM, 64 gigabytes of ROM. So their VC Max is actually a downgrade from the vSeeBox Elite Ultra, which included 128. And this is exactly the same memory that's in their other latest box, the V6 Plus. Curious, doesn't look like there's much of a change in the hardware between the Plus and the Max. Interesting. Let's go ahead and go around the box some more. We have dual band Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.0, we've seen that. And again, as in the previous video, Android 14. So this is a significant upgrade from Android 12, which was on the previous boxes. HDMI 2.1 and over-the-air updates. Nothing new there between those boxes. 8K still supported, 4 gigabytes of RAM, we talked about that, 64 gigabytes of ROM, voice control, and this also supports H.265 HEVC, just like the Plus. So at first glance, you know, there's not a lot of difference in the hardware between the Plus and the Max. So not sure what we're going to do there. Let's open the box and see if there's any differences on the inside. All right, we'll go ahead and take out the unit itself. Very similar experience to the Plus. By the way, if you'd like to learn about the vSeeBox V6 Plus, be sure to check out my previous video. All the links are down in the video description that you need, including links where you can go take a longer look at these at the vSeeBox website if you want to do that. Let's go ahead and open this up. Pretty much the same experience as the previous unit side. I'm suspecting it's going to be the same thing. Oh yes, here's another HDMI cable. Now, interestingly, this HDMI cable is different than the one that we got in the other box. Look at that. They're two completely different HDMI cables. It's almost as if both of these units come from a different manufacturer. We'll go ahead and set that one aside. We also have a power source here. Again, very similar to all the other units that we've had, but different from the Plus power unit. Look like this. I bet they're both the same specs though. This is 5 volts, 2 amps. This is 5 volts, 2 amps. Interesting. Let's check the barrel jack and look at that. The barrel jacks look to be identical as well. Now here is the remote. So first of all, here's the comparison to the V5 series. You can see the V5 Elite Ultra remote is a little bit bigger. Yeah, actually it's a lot bigger. Now let's compare it to the V6 Plus. And over here is the V6 Plus. And yes, they are different. This one for the Max is a little smaller. The layout is different. Some of the buttons are very similar. You can see that. We do have a different differentiation in buttons here. We have an OK input over here. It just goes to input and volume and then mute. So very interesting. In the V5 series, the remote for the V5 Pro and the Elite Ultra is the same. For the 6 series, they're different. Just generally odd. All right, let me make sure I get the right remote here and let's put this one up before I confuse them. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the box itself. Oh, no. As we always do, let's go ahead and take a look at the instructions. Very similar to the V6 Plus instructions. Yeah, very similar. You can see that here. The Start Wizard looks a little bit different here. Let's see if the interface, if they have a picture of the interface. Interface looks pretty much the same as you can see. So again, we don't typically need these. You plug the box in, you plug it into power, you connect it to your network, and you turn it on, you're ready to go. All right, let's take a look at the box itself. A little texture on here. Look at that. So here is the vSeeBox. This is the V6 Max, as you can see right there. 8K ultra high definition. On the back, cover up my MAC address there. You can see some more information right here. I do have the little feet right here. We'll compare it to the other unit here in just a minute. Along the top, you can see we have this little ridge through here, a little design right there. Your network connection, 2 USBs, OG USB, USB 3.0. Again, we have the same HDMI, SD card configuration. We have an AV port here, and then we have a 5-volt 2 amp. Interestingly, this is different. If I bring the V6 Plus over and we compare, do you notice anything? What I notice immediately is that the Plus has optical out. The Max does not. Shouldn't the Max have optical? But no, they've gone for the Max for a standard AV out, which is a 3.5mm plug. That seems odd. It seems like that should be reversed. So there you go. There's the difference in the hardware. You can see also the Max is a little bit smaller than the Plus, which that would stand to reason. It does not appear that the hardware is much different in either of these. I think it's all going to come down to the software. Let's go ahead and plug in the Max and let's see what software and what the user interface looks like. All right, let's get it plugged in. We will plug in first HDMI. We will be using a wired Ethernet connection. And then we will plug in power. And it will fire up as soon as I plug in power. See that there? Have our remote, and what we'll do is we will go through the menus. I will say I do appreciate the screen on the V6 Max like we had on the V5 Ultra. You can see set boot, and then we get the time of day. We're going to need to set that up. Okay, now that it's fired up, let's check out Android 14 and see if this Max version actually gives us max performance. All right, and as you saw upon first boot, you get the vSeeBox logo. And this device is running on the Amlogic Sierra 905 Yankee 4 chipset. And the first time you turn it on, you will be greeted with the configuration menu as you see here. Let's go ahead and choose English. You can adjust the screen scale to match the display that you're using. This looks pretty good right here. And of course, you can choose your time zone so that your program guide represents the correct times. Now, as you saw earlier, I'm connected via Ethernet. We won't be using Wi-Fi with this device today. Here's our disclaimer notice. Again, take a close look at that. I have covered this in other vSeeBox videos, so if you want a deeper dive into that disclaimer notice, check out those other videos linked down in the video description below. Settings completed, you can now start using your box. Let's do that. So when that's completed, what we have is what we call the Heat Launcher. So this is vSeeBox's custom launcher for the apps. Let's take a look across the top row. Of course, we just got done with the initial setup. We do have a market. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the market. The market will allow you to install other apps that can add functionality to your vSeeBox. These are curated by vSeeBox themselves to be apps that are known to work. Now, one of the things I will say is immediately you really want to install a VPN. Now, you can install the recommended VPN that they have. I recommend Surfshark. They're not a sponsor of this video, but you will find a link in the video description down below where you can get Surfshark at a really good rate. And I use it on all my vSeeBoxes, my computers, my phone. It is a great VPN and I highly recommend their service. Other things that you'll find in here, we'll just take a look across the popular apps. You have IPTV apps, you have a Nova app, which a lot of people like Nova TV. And of course, if you just want a browser for your vSeeBox so that you can kick back on your sofa, you have that. So take a look through here, see what's available. You may find some things, including, look at this, local news apps that are of interest to you. Let's go ahead and go back home. How do we do that? We just simply click the home button and it takes us back home. The other thing we have access to is the Google Play Store. Now, this is not an official Google TV UI. This is based on the AOSP version of Android 14. And what that means is this is the open source version of Google's UI for TVs that's out there and available for third parties to use, but sometimes doesn't come with specific features that you would find on a Google branded product. We could hit sign in. I do not sign in to my Google account on these devices. What I would recommend if you do want to sign in is to go ahead and use a secondary Google account. Never sign in with your primary. Just a good tip from RetroCombs for you. I don't have a secondary Google account at the moment, so I'm not going to sign into this. But if you did, you would be presented with the regular Google Play Store where you can install additional apps, because again, this is Android TV version 14, so all of those apps will work. Going back home, you see that we also have a Prime Video app, a Netflix app, a YouTube app. So along this first line up here are standard Android apps that you can load. And again, as I've shown, you can load them either through a third-party store or you can load them through the Google Play Store. We also have a couple of other things. We have a file browser here. If you would like to dig into the files on your device, you can load up movies on an SD card on this device and then play them from your file browser. And this file browser just allows you to manage those files. Let's go back home. Initial setup, if you do need to repeat those initial setups, we can do that. Now down below, you'll see that we have the standard suite of vSeeBox applications. In this case, we have Heat Live, Heat VOD, VOD Ultra, and Backup by Heat. We also have the option to contact us. Now you'll notice this little arrow right here. That means that that specific app has not been downloaded. If you would like to install a way to contact the vSeeBox folks for technical support, you can click on that. One I do want to hit is this internet speed test. Let's go ahead and download that by hitting OK. And this is indicative of the way that the vSeeBox apps will load. You'll see this little window pop up. It'll come up and tell you what version you're on, what you're upgrading to. And here is basically the Netflix speed test. Let's go ahead and let it go. Now again, I am on a wired connection. This should be pretty good. And I'm connected to a switch. It says your speed is 83 megabits per second. That's fine for 4K. If you want another browser besides the Puffin browser, we can install Firefox. I do like to install Firefox. Let's go ahead and fire that one up and download it. And now we will have a full browser that you can kick back with a keyboard and browse the web. And again, I recommend the little portable thumb keyboard that I've shown in other videos. I'll have a link to that down in the video description, one that will work for you, but it's great. You can kick back and browse, or you can get a USB keyboard with a dongle and you can plug that into one of the USB ports on the back and use that. Oh, let's go ahead and use a dark theme for this. And you'll see we have some additional options here to set it up the way that you want. If you do want to install your Firefox sync between your browser on your computer, you can do that. And then of course we can come down here and enter a URL. Now this is going to be kind of weird trying to use this, but I can go up here and use a shortcut if I want to do that. Let's go up here and see if we can grab Wikipedia. Now if things get a little hinky and you can't figure it out like you just saw me do, there is on the remote this button right here. If I click that button, that turns on our mouse. And then we can use our arrow buttons, and then I can come over here and I can select Wikipedia this way. And let's see if Wikipedia will load on our vSeeBox. And there you go. We're ready to search Wikipedia. And let's see if we can scroll down. I believe to scroll down, we can hit the down and up arrows. Let's see if that works. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and go back home. And this app allows you to set up your remote again if you need to do that. Looks like we had a little update there. And looks like it's connecting. Looks like there is an update to our remote. I don't believe I've ever seen that before. That's pretty cool. Looks like I have a low battery level. I probably need to fix that. Now this remote, unlike the previous remotes, doesn't use AAAs. It actually uses AAs. I think these rechargeables, I had these recharged. I think these are toast. I'm gonna have to get rid of these. Let's go ahead and pop in our AAs. And these are Amazon Basics. I love these things. These are great. I'll have a link to these down in the video description below. Perfect. Let's go ahead and restart our Bluetooth and get everything updated. Now, along the bottom, we have some additional settings here. We'll go ahead and take a look at those. Let's go ahead and go into our system settings. This will allow us to check some specific things out. For instance, can we change the name of our device? You can see we have V6 Max. You can come down here and enter a custom name if you'd like to do that. I'm not going to do that. I like my devices to be named what they are. Here's our network and internet. As you can see, we have Ethernet connected. I'm not going to go in there because that'll reveal just a bunch of IP addresses. But within there, you can make some changes to your settings. If you want to set up your VPN, some other things, you can do that. Here's our accounts and sign in. If you wanted to sign in to Google on this device and Android 14, you can do that by using this option. Again, I would not recommend you use your primary Google account, but if you have a secondary that you're not concerned about, doesn't have a lot of personal information, that might be an option for you here. Here's apps. If you want to find out exactly what's installed on here, you can see our recently opened apps are here. But you can also come down here and see all apps. So this is a great way, again, to verify what's installed. A little note about the vSeeBox software that's included. If something happens and one of those gets corrupted, if you go ahead and delete that app from the all apps, you can go back in and reload it. There will still be a shortcut. Actually, it will be the same shortcuts you see here. So if that app gets corrupted, it's deleted some way, or it's just not working, go ahead and go into your apps, remove it. This shortcut will still be here and you can download a fresh version of that. A little tip for you. Let's go back into our system settings. The other thing you can do on apps is you can come down here and go to your app permissions, your special app access, and security and restrictions. Go ahead and take a look at that and you can decide what you want to turn on and don't want to turn on by app on these boxes. You have device preferences. See, we have about. This is all pretty standard. Let's go ahead and do an about. Let's find out a little bit more information about this version of Android 14. Let's do a system update. You can see you have a local update. So if you have a file on your SD card, you can update from there. But we also have an online update. Let's run through that. Probably won't need an update. We are at version 14.1.1.89. And that's good. Some of these boxes are still based on Android 8, 9, 10. And even 12 is starting to get a little long in the tooth, and you worry about those receiving any security upgrades. 14 is kind of the latest version of Android TV available. All right, we're updated there. Let's go back. Here's our status if we want to see our network, our serial numbers, and other information. We have our legal information if you want to re-look at that. Here's our third-party source, our Google legal. All of that is included in here if you'd like to go through that and review. We also have our model here. We've seen that before. That's just the V6. Here's our Android TV OS version. Our security patch is May 5th. That seems a little dated. I wish that would get updated to at least a 25. So if you've got concerns about security, think about that patch level. Here's our kernel, and then our Android TV OS build is right here. We also have our date and time that we can set. Now this is going to be set automatically. That's what I recommend. Just use that. And I prefer 24-hour time, so we'll have that set up there. You do have your language. We've already selected that in the setup app, so that's going to be fine. Here's keyboard and autofill. It does use Gboard. Now to get the most out of that, you want to log into Gboard, which means you would need to log into your Gmail account. Since we're not doing that, I'll use the defaults, but you could change the keyboard if you wanted to. You can see remote controller input method is also an option. And basically what that means is if you have a USB keyboard connected, you won't have the Gboard displayed on screen. And you can find your Gboard settings here. If you want to change any of those, you can do that here. You have your input method settings for your remote controller. Now, I do not believe that this actually vibrates or that is in here, but those options are available. And here's where you can manage your keyboards. If you want to install another keyboard, you can do that. And you can grab that from the Play Store or as an APK third-party package. Autofill, current autofill service is none. You can turn on the Firefox if you want to do that, and that would be for things like passwords, addresses, those types of things. Again, not sure I recommend you doing any of that on a device like the vSeeBox. Use it for content consumption. Do not use it to store sensitive information. Here's our display and sound. You can change your text scaling. You can match your content's dynamic range. Let's go ahead and put that on. I kind of like that. You can match your content frame rate so that that's synced up. You have your resolution is automatic. Recommend that. Screen position, you can move that around. We've seen that. HDMI CEC is great when it's connected to a TV. What that does, and I've used this on my TV upstairs, is when you power on or hit the home, it'll automatically turn your TV on for you. Very cool feature to turn on. Just makes things easier. We can turn on our system sounds. I'm going to do that. Let's hear what our system sounds sound like. We do have storage. So this will control the storage. You can see internal memory is 64 gigabytes. Memory is 4 gigabytes. So this is the storage. This is the onboard. So there's not a lot here, but it is about on par with any of the other Google TV devices. And I will say this seems infinitely faster just because of the CPU in it. So it's pretty fast. Oh, I should show you this. There is also an option to free up storage if you start to run out of this internal storage. Typically, if you're going to put movies on this, put it on a SD card. Don't put it in the internal memory. Save this for apps. Here's your Google Assistant. Now I can turn that on, and I will turn that on, but what will happen is it'll ask me to sign in. So we're going to use the Assistant without sign in. That'll give us some basic features such as the voice remote. We're going to allow it to search across our apps. Here's our permissions. If we want to see what it has access to, we can turn on our safe search filter. I typically leave that off. I don't have children in my house, but I don't turn it off for that. I turn it off because typically it will allow the assistant to have a little broader range of understanding. Here's our searchable apps if you want to see that once again. Really the only thing here is the Start app at this point. So let's try this out for a minute. Let's go ahead and hit our button here. And you can see we get the little indicator. It says search for funny shows. What's the weather? What's the weather? and it gives me the weather in my area. How about that? So that's pretty cool that we have that feature built in with Android 14. Go back into our device preferences. Let's go down to our screensaver. If you want to set a screensaver, you have a couple of options. Hit screensaver, you can turn it on, just be colors, turn it off. I don't usually turn that on, and then you can choose when to start it. You have your energy saver. You can set when inactive. Right now it's on never, but you can actually fire this up so that you can have it kind of power down itself after a certain period of time. Probably not a bad idea to turn that on. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do 4 hours. If I'm not watching it in 4 hours, I probably need to. Leaving your TV on for a period that long may increase energy use. Got it. All right, we'll go ahead and exit. Here's our location information. If we click that, you can see that location, and you saw that with weather. It knew what city I was in, so it pulled that. So right now, this device is checking my location. Here's our microphone. We've already used it, so we've already set it up. So we have microphone access for the Start app and Google. The Start app would allow us to actually load an application on the home screen using our remote if we want to do that. Here's a camera. You could connect a camera to this via USB. Now, I'm kind of suspicious. Why is that on? There's no camera in here, but I am going to turn off camera access. I don't think any of my apps need camera access. Not sure why those are turned on. It's a little bothersome for me that that's turned on by default, because if I were to plug a USB camera in, would that automatically start broadcasting? I don't think so, but I'm going to turn that off. So a little tip for you there. And of course, we can restart. So those are the options under device preferences. Now, something that's popped up on my channel before, some folks have asked about accessibility. The great thing about Android 14 is your accessibility features are magnified significantly. They're so much better than version 12 of Android TV. For instance, I can turn on my talk-to-speech engine, set up all of that. So that is a great feature. We can turn on text scaling. We can bold the text if we need to do that. You can see that bolds that. We can turn on color correction for those that need that. We have an accessibility shortcut that we can set, and you can see that's set up right there. We also have audio descriptions. Here, a description of what's happening on the screen in supported movies and TV shows. Now let's go down here to experimental, and you see that we have high contrast, and we can turn that on too. Actually, that text is sharper. I kind of like that. If you need the audio description services, now you know how to turn that on. We also have the remotes and accessories area. Now this area would allow you to add a Bluetooth device. So right now you can see the vSeeBox remoter. I'm not sure why they call it the remoter, but you could also add Bluetooth headsets, speakers, all kinds of devices, a keyboard, a Bluetooth keyboard. You can also set those up here. And then your device control settings. And you see we have a background installer and we have Bluetooth over the air. Let's check out and see what happens when we hit that background installer. Interestingly, let's do an update. And it did something, but I'm not sure what it did. Authorization market reset. My guess is the background installer is looking at those vSeeBox custom apps. I'm not sure that's the case, so if you know, please leave a comment down below. Let's check our status. Yeah, I believe this is for those apps on the home screen. All right, so that is our settings area. The other thing we have is our launcher settings, and that's nice because we can move things around, make some changes to the launcher. We can add groups, we can add some parental controls. That's pretty nice. We'll quickly hit through these menus. You see we have groups that we can create. We have parent settings. If you'd like to lock this down with a pin, you can do that. I'm going to exit out of this. You can load a startup app, and I showed you this in my vSeeBox V6 Plus video, how to automatically load the weather app upon startup. Now, interestingly, this does not have that cool weather app, and I've not found any way to load it. So I missed that weather app from the V6 Plus. I wish it was available on the V6 Max. It's just a strange omission to me. Maybe they can send an update and push that weather app on here, because I love to have it load at the very beginning. And I get that there's weather here, but the weather app gave me a 10-day kind of forecast. Oh, and an hour by hour. So some additional things, startup app, your upload log. Here's our updater launcher. Let's see if there's an update. Oh, so that's the same as that other updater we saw earlier. So this is the update system for the launcher, not the apps themselves. We can reset the launcher, and of course we can change the wallpaper. And I should really do that because I think a really cool RetroCombs tech wallpaper would be cool to add to this and maybe offer to you all. If you think that's a good idea, let me know down below. We've looked at software update. We've already seen this. This is just another way to get there. We do have hotkeys that we can set. And so those are the red, green, yellow, and blue buttons. You can set what those do if you'd like to. So if I want the red to open an app, I can click there and then I can choose which app. Maybe I want to load their Heat Live app. I can click that. And now when I hit the red button, Heat Live will load. Let's go ahead and do green. Maybe green is the Heat VOD app. Maybe this one is the Heat VOD Ultra. And then finally, maybe the blue is their Heat Live backup app, for instance. So now I have all of these set up right here to load the vSeeBox custom apps. Let's just see if it works. And you see it does. So think about those hotkeys and how you can set those up for your own preferences. Maybe it's for your Netflix, maybe it's your Amazon. You can set all those up right here. This one would be really cool for Netflix. Now there are buttons down at the bottom. What about YouTube? So YouTube will load the app. Let's check out the Amazon Prime. That one works. Of course, you would want to log in. You'd have to log in. And what about Disney? And you can see the Disney app loads. Let's go ahead and exit out of here. Let's go home. Let's try something. Let's go back to this app here. Yeah, now interestingly, I can't automate. I have to go home and then click. So you have to be on the home screen before these buttons work. I think that's how we figured it out. So I need to be home, then I can hit Netflix or use these, or I can use these. You can't be within an app and have these automatically jump from app to app. Well, here you go. Here's an example of loading up an app and it says upgrade to the version. Here, let me show you what that looks like. And as you can see here, it's asking, do I want to install an unknown app? That's interesting. Wouldn't the vSeeBox know that they have their apps on here? Let's go ahead and come down here and see if we can find it. Yeah, you can see their apps are not allowed to upgrade. Very interesting. I'm gonna go ahead and turn those on. There we go. Now we can update their custom apps. Let's go ahead and upgrade. All right, their app is now uploaded, so I'll hit done. So let me go back into an app again and see if we can use these buttons. So now I'm back in YouTube. Now let's see if we can jump to Netflix. Oh, it worked that time. So just a little hinky at the beginning. Let's see Disney. That's working. And then finally Amazon, and it's working. So I'm not sure why we had that little hiccup, but it all appears to be working right now. Here's another system info area, and you can see information about the model, build dates, and some other things we've already seen, and other menus. And then finally, there's this option. This is your memory cleanup. This could be handy, especially since this box only has 64 gigabytes of read-only memory inside. We can click this right here, hit it, and it will clean out your memory, close your apps, and get it decreased. So if you've got too many apps open at once, because this is Android, then you can clean all that out with a simple press of the button. Okay, well, there is my look at the vSeeBox V6 Max. And we kind of talked about the comparisons between it and the V6 Plus. Which one's right for you? Well, hopefully these videos have helped you make that decision. If you are interested in these devices, I do have links down in all my vSeeBox videos where you can go get yours and save a little money at the same time if you're interested. But please, read, review, check out, see if this box is right for your home. I can't make that decision for you. I will say I do prefer the V6 Max over the Plus. And why? Well, the design. I like the onboard screen. I think that's handy. And it just seems a little more responsive. If you still want the ultimate though, I still like that V5 Ultra. I think that is the way to go. And I'll have a link down below to that one so that you can take a look at it. It has everything. It's also got 128 gigabytes of ROM. So that thing is smoking. And this isn't the end of your journey researching vSeeBox devices. Check out this playlist right here for other great videos I have on the vSeeBox line and some competitors. That's it for me. RetroCombs out. See you next time.